Hey, it's a Humble Collector here. In today's video, we're going to take a look at this old magazine advertisement that I have in the collection here for the Army-Navy E Award, specifically being awarded to Westinghouse. So we'll go through the document itself here, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Army-Navy E Award because it's a really cool program, and I don't get to talk about U.S. home front stuff very often. But going through here, I'll go ahead and zoom in. We have this lovely print of the Army-Navy flag, and then moving closer here, 5 of the first 43 Army-Navy Production Award pennants for plants with the highest achievements in the production of war equipment have been awarded to Westinghouse. To Westinghouse men and women for an outstanding contribution to victory. In announcing that 5 of the first 53 Army-Navy Production Awards go to Westinghouse, James Forrestal, Undersecretary of the Navy, said, "The men and women in these plants are making an outstanding contribution to victory. Their practical patriotism stands as an example to all Americans, and they have reason to be proud of the record they have set. Westinghouse, one of the world's leading manufacturers of electrical equipment, is now producing war material at the rate of 4,000 carloads per month, enough to fill a freight train 37 miles long every 30 days. To this effort, we are applying the full extent of Westinghouse know-how in research, in engineering, and in production. As a result, production on a man-hour basis is 95% ahead of the mid-1940 rate. In some divisions, production is up more than 300%. This is the record to date. We hope to make it still better tomorrow. Westinghouse." And in the corner box here, we see that the following Westinghouse plants are being honored by the Army-Navy Production Awards: the East Pittsburgh Division, including East Pittsburgh Works, Nuttall Gear Works, Linhart Copper Mill, Linhart Brass Foundry, Trafford Micarta Works, Trafford Foundry, Derry Porcelain Works, the Steam Division in South Philadelphia, PA, the Transformer Division in Sharon, PA, the Manufacturing and Repair Plant in Newark, New Jersey, and the Manufacturing and Repair Plant in Philadelphia, PA. And what's really cool, I'm from Western PA. Pittsburgh is technically my hometown. I was actually born there, though I've never lived there. And if you're from Western PA, anytime people ask where you're from, you just say you're from Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh played a major role in the war, and that's one of the reasons I was really excited to talk about this piece, is in addition to the Army-Navy E program being very cool, my hometown technically did play a pretty big part in the Second World War. And actually, one of the reasons I decided to pick this item for this month and to talk about it is that I'd seen something going around on the internet recently. It was a comment that somebody made, and then I saw it echoed in other places, that Pittsburgh produced more steel than Germany did during World War II, which is not correct as far as I can tell, but the numbers are actually a lot closer than you would think. And funnily enough, finding numbers specifically for German and Pittsburgh steel production has been a bit more difficult of late because now there's just AI slop everywhere and it's really hard to find good sources. So I found some sources for German steel production, but I wasn't 100% sure if they were good. They were from an older forum discussion. And as I was getting ready to make this video, I realized that several years ago, I actually bought this book, the United States Strategic Bombing Survey Overall Report, as well as the actual full-on Hamburg Field Report. This is an original copy. Now, I'm not going to look at the Hamburg Report because, frankly, it's not what we need for right now, though it is an interesting document. But in the United States Strategic Bombing Survey, we actually have a lovely table of contents here. And at the end of the report, it does actually talk about steel production. So if we go to page 77 and 79 here, we see this lovely graph, as well as a discussion of steel production in 1943 and 1944. None of the sources I could find for Germany had production numbers for 1945, which is not surprising given everything that was going on. But the numbers here of 30,590 actual production, millions of tons for 1943, and then 25,840,000 tons for 1944 were pretty close to the sources I was finding online. So those seem to be pretty accurate. If I ever had a full month off work, maybe I'd be able to go into something like this more in depth, but it was a nice resource to have and to discuss here. Yeah, so from the numbers I was able to glean, Germany between 1938 and 1944 produced about 195 million tons of steel, 195 and change. Pittsburgh, over the course of the war, produced 95 million tons of steel. So, no, Pittsburgh did not produce more steel than Germany. However, it did produce about half as much steel as Germany. And given the fact that's one U.S. city, it still goes to show the might of the American, industrial complex during the Second World War. And to put it in perspective how much steel that actually was, Pittsburgh was producing 31% of America's steel during the Second World War and 20% of the global steel supply. So, again, even though Pittsburgh by itself did not produce more steel than Germany, it produced a crap ton of steel. And steel production in the U.S. overall in 1945 was nearly 90 million tons. It was like 89 and change. So just goes to show again the massive industrial difference between America and Germany during the Second World War. And Pittsburgh produced a lot of stuff. So in addition to the steel, there were 119 LSTs that were built in Pittsburgh that were floated up the rivers to the Great Lakes and sent all over. And Mesta Machines in Pittsburgh actually produced half of all 155 millimeter gun tubes. So in addition to the actual raw steel production, there's a lot of final product production that's being done here in the Steel City, which is very cool. So what was the actual E Award itself? So this is an award that is actually the successor to two previous separate awards. The Army and the Navy, their procurement branches, both had separate awards for excellence in production. Near the beginning of the Second World War, they combined them into the Army-Navy E Award. And this award can be given out for a variety of reasons. Generally, it's high standards of quality, meeting quantities, overcoming significant production obstacles. It was really kind of up to the assessors for the program why it was going to be awarded to a specific company. But over the course of the entire Second World War, about 5% of American companies that were taking government contracts during the war received it. So this was not an award that were given out to everybody by any stretch of the imagination. If a company was awarded an E Award, there would be a ceremony at the plant. They would be given a pennant to fly over the facility. They would be given pins for all the employees to wear. Just like this one is an actual unissued example from my collection. And if they maintained those high standards or exceeded them over the course of the next 6 months, they could actually be awarded a star to go on their banner as well, to show their continued support of excellence in the production of military equipment. And the star awards are also very rare. Not a lot of companies were winning those either. And the banner itself, I just love the design for this. This is gorgeous. In fact, I love the design for this banner so much that I actually found and bought one at a military show, I think 2 years ago now. I'll link it up above in case you guys want to see the haul from that trip. But yeah, this is an actual Army-Navy award flag. As far as I can tell, it was never flown anywhere. It doesn't have any wear on it really. And the guy that I got it from said that he had purchased it in Ohio, but he didn't have any provenance for it or where the guy that he got it from had acquired it. So unfortunately, I can't tell you what factory this was in or if it was ever actually awarded, but still, I just think it's a really neat award. And like I said, I'm very excited for this video. Don't get to talk about American production very much, so kind of like a nice change of pace in between all of the death cards and other items that we're looking at this month. So yeah, overall, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment down below. Love hearing from you. Thank you all for watching. Happy collecting, and I will see you all again very soon.